Good afternoon, everyone. So we'll be starting at 3:30, right? So let's wait for 2 minutes and then we'll be start. Everybody, please mute yourselves. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So I am back with the CSAT. My name is Ekta Agrawal. I'm a senior mentor at Prepp IAS, as you know. Okay, so we'll be continuing our CSAT series, the reading comprehension, basically. Okay, yes, a very good afternoon, Udesh. राइट सो इन्फ्रेंस आपने प्रैक्टिस किया स्टडी किया आपने जब लास्ट टाइम हमने डिस्कस किया था उसके बाद ओके सो टुडे व्हाट इज द एजेंडा ऑफ द सेशन टुडे व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू डू इज अगेन वी विल बी लुकिंग एट द इन्फरेंस राइट एंड वी विल ट्राई टू कंपेयर दैट विद द कंक्लूजन इन्फरेंस और कंक्लूजन दोनों में क्या फर्क होता है ठीक है आई थिंक कोई म्यूट प्लीज एवरीबॉडी म्यूट योरसेल्व्स ओके थैंक यू राइट सो व्हाट वी डू इज हम कंपेयर करेंगे इन्फ्रेंस को एंड कंक्लूजन को एंड वंस दिस इज डन अगेन 2019 और 20 यूपीएससी सीसैट पेपर्स जो थे वो हम उसके इन्फ्रेंस के क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करेंगे राइट ओके ओके तो एनीबडी वुड बी हैविंग एनी क्वेश्चंस आप हैंड रेज करेंगे एंड देन आई विल कॉल आउट द नेम एंड देन यू विल आस्क योर क्वेश्चंस राइट ओके सो आई थिंक ये जो पीडीएफ्स मैं अभी स्क्रीन पे शेयर कर रही हूँ कि यूपीएससी के टेलीग्राम चैनल जो है राइट प्रिपार्स के टेलीग्राम चैनल पे दिस पीडीएफ्स हैव ऑलरेडी बीन शेयर्ड सो आप ये यूज कर सकते हैं सेशंस के ड्यूरेशन फाइन ओके
मार देता है यार
दिनेश
फिर मैंने कोशिश कर रहा था उसके लेग को मार एक वाइड होते थे
दिनेश कैन यू म्यूट योरसेल्फ प्लीज ओके सो व्हाट डिड यू स्टडी की इंफरेंस क्या है एवरीबॉडी प्लीज म्यूट योरसेल्व्स इट माइट डिस्टर्ब आवर क्लास दिनेश कैन यू प्लीज म्यूट योरसेल्फ ओके सो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन्फ्रेंस के बारे में हमने क्या देखा था right? तो inference एक conclusion है, no doubt, but that is not explicitly stated. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll call out names and फिर हम देखेंगे कि क्या आपकी understanding है. So this is a conclusion logically derived but not explicitly stated. Now conclusion क्या होता है? Although UPSC में recent years के paper में conclusion पे questions नहीं पूछ रहे उन्होंने ज़्यादा, but still we never know. If they ask questions, तो we should be aware कि conclusion based अगर questions होते हैं तो कैसे address करना है, right? So conclusion is pretty direct. Okay, it must be true based on the passage itself. ये बिल्कुल explicit होता है. Okay, अगर हम inference की बात कर रहे थे, that was not explicit, that was quite implicit. But this is very explicit. Okay, it's to a comparison. For instance, the rise of artificial intelligence has led to increased automation in various industries, right? यहाँ पर keyword क्या है? Increased automation, because this is something, an attribute of artificial intelligence जो बता रहे हैं, an effect. Now, while this improves the efficiency, a positive thing, it also raises concerns. Now the passage is going into the other side of the topic about job displacement. Governments are now focusing on policies to retain workers for new roles in the digital economy. Right? Now, which of the following can be concluded from the passage? AI will lead to permanent job losses across all industries. Can anyone tell me कि ये option गलत क्यों है? We know the answer is B, right? We just understand the options right now. क्या गलत है यहाँ पर? Anybody? Just raise your hand.
Permanent job losses.
Okay, Shreya, yes. Permanent job losses in all industries, I guess, right? Oh,
It's not explicitly mentioned also in the passage. Nothing as such is
easy.
written.
Okay. Then let's go to the third option. AI should be banned to prevent job losses. Again, a very extreme statement. Nowhere it has been mentioned कि ban कर देना चाहिए, right? They're just saying that governments should now focus on the policies, right? Now, the automation has only negative effects. Again, this is negative, right? Because, why? Because in the passage, we're talking about both the positive aspects as well as the negative aspects of AI, right? Now, most importantly, see the second statement, what it is written. Governments are taking steps to address job displacement due to AI, right? It is directly mentioned in the passage. Their government is taking policies to retrain workers. What? To address the job displacement due to AI. Okay. Now, to get a better clarity on this, we'll take the same passage now and we'll understand कि उसमें inference क्या है and conclusion क्या है. Right? So the two key takeaways that you need to take out is it's a logical deduction, inference, and conclusion is it must be true if the passage is true. It's very explicit. Now we'll take the same passage और हम देखेंगे कि inference और conclusion क्या है, right? Okay. So the government's push towards renewable energy has increased investment in solar and wind power, right? However, the transition from fossil fuels, they remains slow due to high infrastructure cost and technological limitations, right? Now, if the inference, you're asked the inference of the passage, let's see the inferences options. The shift to renewable energy will happen quickly. कहीं से लग रहा है ऐसा passage में कोई tone थी कि it's going to happen quickly. Rather, it says that it remains slow. So it is contradictory to the passage, right? Now,
The government moves towards renewable energy as increase in solar and wind power. However, the transition from solar will remain slow.
Dylan, please mute yourself. Only if you want to say something, then raise your hand, then you can speak. It's quite distracting for the class. If you want to say something, you can raise your hand and then I can give you the chance. Okay. So the renewable energy is already cheaper than fossil fuels. Do we have any information related to that? In fact, if I think about infrastructure cost and technological limitations, I would get an idea that renewable energy cheaper नहीं है, in fact costly हो सकती है, right? Then go to the second statement. Technological advancements can speed up renewable energy adoption. This is correct. Why? Because the transition from fossil fuels remains slow due to technological limitations. So it is making a suggestion, right? It is actually true as per the inference. Now, it is not directly mentioned in the passage कि technological investments करने चाहिए, advancements करने चाहिए. But मुझे ये passage पढ़ के समझ में आ रहा है कि अगर technological limitations हैं, तो technological advancements पे focus करना होगा मुझे, right? Renewable energy adoption के लिए. Now, again, the last statement can be easily eliminated. Okay. Now, see the conclusion. This question में conclusion क्या है? What is the main conclusion of the passage? Now, the government should focus यहाँ अगर हम सेम जो अपने फर्स्ट सेशन में हमने स्ट्रैटेजी देखी थी कि कुछ ऑप्शंस हम एलिमिनेट कर सकते हैं डायरेक्टली, राइट? The government should focus only on renewable energy. Nothing like this sort of it's mentioned in the passage. So you can remove that. Now, infrastructure cost is the main barrier to energy transition. ये information directly mentioned है, right? Fossil fuels say transition remains slow due to high infrastructure cost and technological limitations. So infrastructure cost. Now, this is a conclusion. Why? Because this statement or this information is directly, or you can say explicitly mentioned in the passage. Okay. And in the inference thing, what did we saw is technological advancements, they can speed up renewable energy adoption. This was some kind of deduction which I made after reading the passage. When I got aware of the thing that technological limitations are there in the transition process. Okay. Now, similarly, we'll do one more passage like this, and the other you would be doing by yourself to have an idea of differences between inference and conclusion questions. Okay. Education reforms, please read the passage. It aims to improve learning outcomes. But the success of these policies, they depends on teacher training and student engagement. Without these factors, reforms alone cannot bring significant improvements. So it is stating that education reforms के लिए, learning outcomes improve करने के लिए, policies के साथ साथ, we need the improvements in the areas of teacher training and student engagement, right? Okay, now option A, they're always successful. Goes contradictory, it's quite extreme, okay? Then education policies have completely failed.
Yeah,
Do you get any sort of idea over here like this? No. Then only government policies determine learning outcomes. Only government policies. We're also talking about aspects like student engagement, teacher training. What about that? So teacher training and student engagement are essential for reforms to work. This is the idea that has been stated in the passage, right? Can I say that it's a valid inference? Okay. Now conclusion पे notice करना है आपको. The conclusion for this is option B. Government policies alone do not determine education quality. Okay, here, without these factors means teacher training and student engagement, the reforms alone cannot bring significant improvements. Reforms here is the government policies. Now it is explicitly mentioned in the passage. Fine. So similarly, what you have to do is for the next 2 to 3 passages, you have to do this by yourself. Please make a comparison की inference और conclusion में क्या फर्क है, right? A possible question can be there in the exam. Now we'll go to the 2020 paper. Okay, now it's basically a practice session now from now onwards. Whatever we have learned in वो practice करेंगे, अपने options मुझे बताएंगे. What do you think is the answer? Then we'll debate on that. Okay, so let's start now. The time starts for the passage number 1. One of the biggest ironics about water is that. Please read the passage and tell me the answer. Okay, ready with the options? If anybody or any one of you would like to volunteer for discussing this question, I can take up that. One of the biggest ironies around water is that it comes from rivers and other wetlands, yet it is seen as diverse from them. Okay, okay, we have got one answer. Okay, Azhar is saying that the answer is B. Wait, okay, fine. We have got B, C, okay. Okay, great. Great try. Right. So we have a tie between B and C. Fine, let's do it. Okay, I'll pick up the people who are saying that the answer is B as well as the people who are the answer is C, right? Let's read the passage first. One of the biggest ironies around water is that it comes from this rivers and wetlands, yet it is seen as diverse from them. While water is used as a resource, public policy does not always grasp. Fine. Diverse, the keyword that you need to remember here. Okay, but how does the public policy sees that does not always grasp that it is part of the natural ecosystem? This is one of the lacking from the public policy side. Efforts at engineering water systems are thus efforts at augmenting water supply rather than strengthening the capacities. So basically, we are engineering more water supply systems rather than repairing, you can say, or rather than improving or strengthening the capacities of ecological systems, right? We are ignoring those options and we are creating artificial systems. That is the passage talking about. Okay, fine. So anybody whose answer is B? Can anyone tell me कि option A क्यों गलत है? कहीं रामसर कन्वेंशन का यहाँ पर
Wrong,
mention?
sir. Conventions are not mentioned in the passage.
Good, that's great. So A तो answer नहीं. Now answer is either B or C as you're saying. D eliminate कर सकते हैं. Water supply should not be free of cost. Again, ऐसा कुछ भी mention नहीं है कि cost होना चाहिए, free होना चाहिए या कोई fees होनी चाहिए, right? So this is बिल्कुल we can eliminate easily. Now the B or C. Now, who wants to talk about the answer as B? Option B. Why do you think the answer is B? Anybody?
Ma'am, there is direct mention of further augmentation of water supply systems. So
Mhm.
that's why I've chosen the B option.
Okay, okay. Valid point. But let's say Shivani, sorry, Shreya, right? Sorry. Let's say if I say that कि passage में definitely इस चीज की बात हो रही है कि augmenting water supply systems, right? But कहीं ना कहीं the passage is actually saying that कि हम focus कर रहे हैं water supply augment करने के लिए. Rather, हमें focus करना चाहिए normal systems like ecological systems like wetlands या rivers, उनकी capacities like desilting of the rivers हो सकता है, right? या wetlands की protection के बारे में बात हो सकती है. So now this is जो आपने पढ़ा था first session में, a distortion trap. Now the option B is looking to be correct, but it is not correct actually, right? The answer is C. Because the passage is saying that wetlands need to be reinforced as more than just open sources of water. They are the ecological systems, strengthening the capacities of ecological systems. That is why the answer is C. But it was a very close option, B and C. Okay. Got the idea, Shreya?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So just keep this in mind, right? Whenever you see these kind of options, it's going to help out. Okay. So this suggestion and implication we'll be discussing in another session, right? Okay, let's go to question number 43, the most rational inference. Please read the passage and tell me your answers. Azhar, you can watch the previous session on YouTube. It's there. Okay. Okay, so I'll start reading the passage now. The pearls variety पूसा और हर. Now see, एक और चीज है कि बहुत बार ना passage में बहुत सारी extra information दी होती है, which has no concern with the passage, the options and the main question, right? A lot of extra details are there, like पूसा और हर 16 and all that. You don't need to remember the name over here. It is talking about a new pearls variety, which has the potential to be grown in the paddy growing regions of Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh, and eventually in all of India. Underline this all because generally we ignore the options which has these kind of keywords. Okay. Now its yield will be significantly greater than those of the existing varieties. And because its size will be uniform, it will be amenable to mechanical harvesting. An attractive feature for farmers in northern India who currently use this technology for paddy. Right. So mechanical harvesting is already being used for the paddy cultivation for the farmers, right? Now, most importantly, the arhar straw, unlike paddy straw, is green and can be poured back into the soil. Now, in paddy straw, the problem is the high silica content, which does not allow for easy decomposition. Okay. In the case of arhar, the farmer, even after combine harvesting, just needs to run a rotavator to cut the leftover straw into pieces and all that. Now, which can be plowed back, will decompose very fast. This is important. Now, all this is difficult with leftover paddy that cannot be easily salvaged or plowed back. Okay, so basically, अगर मैं short में बोलूँ तो पूसा हरर के लिए एक केस बता रहे हैं यहाँ पर. Why this can have a potential for the farmers in northern India, जहाँ पर हम stubble burning ये सब issues face करते हैं related to paddy straw, right? So farmers therefore choose the easiest option of simply burning it, right? Because that cannot be easily plowed back. So they are saying that an option, an alternative for this is promoting this variety of pusa. Okay. Now the options. Let me see, what options do you think? Okay. Okay. We have got C. We have also got A's. Okay. Others also please try. What do you think is the option? Now यहाँ पर आप elimination use कर सकते हैं because see, here are the options ना. Okay, we have got another C from Azhar. Okay. Yes. Okay. So again, if I say that, let's look at the first statement. Farmers' income will be higher with pearls cultivation than with paddy cultivation. कहीं भी farmers' income के बारे में कोई भी mention है यहाँ पर? Nowhere it has been mentioned. So it can be easily eliminated. Okay. So we have eliminated option B and option D. Okay. Then let's go to the two options we have. Now ये exam hall में आपको ये approach use करनी है because वहाँ पर time कम होगा, right? Here we'll be having the time कि हम सारे options को एक बार देख लें. But अगर यहाँ दो options eliminate हो चुके हैं, then आप simply देखिए कि 2 और 3 तो दोनों में है. So we can directly look at the fifth statement and then we can go for the next question, right? तो fifth statement में क्या लिखा हुआ है? Okay, Chenika, yes. C not A. So fifth statement में क्या गलत है? Can anyone tell me? Because mechanized agriculture की बात भी वहाँ पर हो रही है. Okay, and stubble burning की भी बात हो रही है. तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि it's out of scope or something like that. Anybody would like to have a take on why fifth option is correct or incorrect? Yes, Shreya,
Yes.
you want to speak? Shivani.
Ma'am, mechanized agriculture is a different thing. We can use it for different kind of things, ma'am. But stubble burning and mechanized agriculture is not correlating. It is not that stubble burning is causing because of mechanized agriculture.
Yes, correctly answered. Very correctly pointed out the keyword cause. Yeah, because those two things were already talked in the passage की northern India में mechanized agriculture हो रहा है. Okay? So वहाँ पर stubble burning is how this related. Okay. So the option is C, right? Let's go to the statements for understanding. Pulse cultivation causes less pollution as compared to paddy cultivation. Now, what is about this less pollution? Can I relate this to easy decomposition and late decomposition? Right? One thing can be easily plowed back and the other has to be burnt. Right? So pulse cultivation would cause less pollution. The next is pulse straw can be used to improve soil quality. Right? They're saying that it can be plowed back and definitely pulse, leguminous and all that. So yeah, it can be used with SAB it's saying, right? And in the context of northern Indian agriculture, paddy straw has no usefulness. First of all, we don't need to look at that option because यहाँ हमारे पास वो दिया ही नहीं हुआ है scope. Okay, but even if you want to see it has no usefulness, so yeah, that statement would be correct because it says that high silica content, which does not allow for easy decomposition and all, because this is simply we have to burn it, right? So we can say for that. Okay. So good try. Now let's have a try at question number 61. Okay, we have got the answer. Quickest reply. Okay, C. Okay, great speed. Azhar, Yashasvi. Okay, Shreya is also going for C. Okay, let's read the passage. Yes, the answer is C. Okay, so you all are correct in that. So let's see how C is the answer. Okay, and why the other options are not the answer. Okay, so it is saying that the bank credit has started shrinking and this decline is actually a concern because credit is essential for investment and now they are linking it to the incomplete reforms, right, which has not followed the institutional changes, right? Then they're suggesting that there could have been a resolution corporation. Now with booms and bursts, banks should be allowed to set up and to fail. Today we cannot shut down banks because there's no proper system, so it's lack of institutional, right? To shut them down, weak, loss-making banks, they continue to need more capital. So this is something about resource utilization, जो हम economy में करते हैं paper 3 में, but you don't have to bring it over here. Okay. Now, which one of the following is the most logical and rational inference that can be made? Right? Indian banking system is not able to help the country in its economic growth. Why is this option correct? Do we have such broad information about the role of banking system in the economic growth of the country? Or are they talking about specifically about the banking sector? Right? So there has been no information in the passage of linking these two things, that Indian banking sector is not able to help the country in its economic growth. We do not have enough information to make a conclusion like this. Okay, economic reforms that started in 1991 have not helped in improving the economy to expected levels. Again, this is economy to expected levels. We do not have much information about the impact of economic 1991 reforms, right? We do know that there has been limitations in the 1991 reforms, but what has been its role economically overall, we don't have much information, right? These are all distortion traps. They might look correct because यहाँ पर 1991 reforms की negative में बात चल रही है. Okay. Now, India lacks the institutional mechanism to deal with the failure of banks. True, I can say that because they are suggesting that a resolution corporation should have been set up, right? So that the banks who are failing, they can just close them down. So encouraging the foreign investments out of scope. Nothing like this has been mentioned. Fine. A great try. Let's try question number 62. Okay. Yes. So what do you think is the answer?
Ma'am, I'm not able to read it correctly because यहाँ पे पूरा नहीं दिया हुआ है.
Okay. Can you read the first section over here? India has tremendous potential.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Okay. I'll scroll it up. Now it's visible, the second part.
Sure.
Yeah, now the complete question is visible. Okay, we have got one answer. Okay, Chenika C. Okay, let's read the passage and then we'll see the other answers. Most people are going with the option C. Yes. Great. The answer is C. Yes. So it's correct. Okay. Right. Let's eliminate the other statements. Let's understand basically कि क्या गलत है बाकी statements में. Okay. Yes. Right. Babita, Azhar. Yes. The answer is C. Okay. So India has tremendous potential for solar energy. We all realize that we have to stop burning fossil fuels to meet our energy needs. Right. So it's talking about a potential and a realization. But certain renewable energy resources are still going through their cost curves and the learning curves to get the required amount of output. The Indian government has strongly committed to its targets of reducing emissions by 33%, etc. by this. And towards this, initiate किया गया है एक strong push towards a gas-based economy and has also invested heavily in the renewable energy. Business houses today, they are wary of investing this too heavily because of when the technology is not yet ready. Okay. So we have got the answer as C. Let's see about the second option. What is wrong with the second option? India should import gas rather than invest in renewable resources. Are they talking anything about importing gas?
Import करना ही है उसमें कहीं पर भी
Yeah.
mention.
Yes, definitely, Yogita. So we can eliminate this. India's commitment to reduce emissions by 33% is unlikely to be achieved. Do we really have this kind of information, Azhar? Yes, Azhar, you want to say something?
It's not mentioned anywhere actually.
मैम 33% का मेंशन है बट वो पूरे पैसेज को नहीं डिस्क्राइब कर रहा है.
True. 33% mentioned है, और yes, पूरे passage यहाँ एक statement लिखी हुई है, it's unlikely to be achieved. I mean, किस basis पे हम बोलेंगे कि unlikely है ये achieve करना? Because India has strongly committed to its targets and it has already taken push towards, and it's a strong push, not just a push, towards a gas-based economy and all, right? So it's unlikely, we do not have enough information for that. Option D, India should put in more efforts in the exploration of natural gas. ये क्यों गलत है? Yes, natural gas के exploration में इंडिया को और efforts put करनी चाहिए.
It is not mentioned in the passage.
Not mentioned directly.
True. Yes, it is not mentioned directly that India should put more efforts with the natural gas, right? So the answer is C, getting renewable resources to market too soon may be costly, right? They're talking about the cost curves. They're also talking about the business houses who are a bit cautious or wary of investing too heavily because of technology is not yet ready, right? So R&D में पैसा, it might increase the cost. Yes, great. The answer is C. A great effort by everyone. Okay, we'll look at the last question from this 2020 paper. Question number 66. Okay, we do not have the complete passage over here. Okay, I'll share this last question as part of your practice paper. We can look at 2019 questions. Okay, let's go to the question number first, the climate change. This is quite a tricky passage. Okay, I'll start reading the passage now. In the meanwhile, you can think about the options. So climate change may actually benefit some plants by lengthening the growing seasons and increasing carbon dioxide. So it may actually benefit some plants. Yet other effects of a warmer world, such as more pest, drought, flooding, will be less benign. Right? So it has got some opportunities as well as some challenges. How will the world adapt? Researchers project that by 2050, suitable croplands for 4 commodities, maize, potatoes, rice, and wheat will shift. Okay, so they have made a prediction. It's a very specific finding. In some cases, pushing farmers to plant new crops. Okay. Some farmlands. We have got the first answer. Okay, let me see it. Okay. Shreya thinks that the answer is D. Okay, let's see it. Some farmlands may benefit from farming. Sorry, farming, but the others won't. Okay. So basically it's saying that some would benefit and the others might not benefit. Okay, we have more for DD. Was this a challenging passage? Okay, we have got a different option D this time. Fine, let's see it. What's the answer? But climate alone does not dictate yields, but political shifts, global demand, and agricultural practices will influence how farms fare in the future. So it's talking about the other factors. Right? In short में अगर बोलूँ तो climate change से benefit भी हो सकता है and challenges भी होंगे. Then they're talking about some specific crops जिनकी shift होंगी, farming जो उनकी ecological zones etc. And that is why farmlands might require some shift. Right? Okay. Okay, you can see the option, we'll see the options again, right? Now it's visible, I think. Okay. So which one of the following is the most logical and rational inference that can be made from the passage above, right? Okay. So yes, please defend your options now. Okay. Farmers who modernize. Now, first of all, let's go to the option B. Climate change will adversely affect the crop diversity. Okay. Can anyone talk about this option? Is this option correct, incorrect, or like what's your opinion on this?
Actually, I clicked for B, but it's just a generalized treatment in the passage. So I would rather just skip the question in the examination for it.
Yeah, in fact, yes, you can do that because this is quite a complicated passage.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yes, you can skip that. If you're not able to understand now, then simply skip that passage because negative होने से बहुत better है कि इसमें आपको कुछ भी ना मिले इस passage में.
Yes,
Like
ma'am.
a
Because
great
ma'am, it's
idea.
a tricky passage.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's very tricky. इसमें options बहुत tricky हैं actually. Okay, तो option B में लिखा है कि climate change will adversely affect the crop diversity. See, I do understand. In fact, passage में लिखा भी है, but it's not completely in favor of saying that it's going to adversely affect the crop diversity. See, it has also highlighted some opportunities as well. Okay, and the other thing is that it is saying in the last line that climate alone does not dictate things. Rather, there are other aspects as well. Okay, so this is not correct. But still, if you think कि ये correct लग रहा है तो इसको as an option रखना है. कि narrow down करना होगा. इस passage में हमें narrow down करना पड़ेगा. Next, let's go for the option C. Shifting major crops to new croplands will lead to a great increase in the total area under cultivation and thus an increase in the overall agricultural production. Why is this? I'm telling you this is incorrect. Now, why is this incorrect?
Ma'am, this is not the focus of the passage, I think. It's talking about the climate change.
Yes, a valid point. It's talking about the impact of climate change. Yes. And also the aspects assert that will it lead to a great increase in area under cultivation and the overall agricultural production? Also, we don't have this information. Very valid point that it is not the focus of the passage. And also the extra information is not there. Okay. So we can narrow it down. अगर मुझे B और C में से पहले eliminate करना होगा तो मैं C को अपने options में से हटा दूंगी. Right? Now narrow down with A, B and D. Climate change is the most important factor affecting the agricultural economy in the future. इसमें क्या गलत है? Important keyword इसमें most important है. इसके लिए एक hint है कि last line यहाँ पर जो लिखा हुआ है ना कि climate change अकेला, it's not dictate the yields and all those things, like political shifts, global demand, etc. They also
ये
have
से
a role.
मैम ये सिंगल रीजन हो सकता है और भी रीजंस हो सकते हैं जिसकी वजह से एग्रीकल्चर को एडवर्स इम्पैक्ट हो.
True, yes. So this can be eliminated easily, right? C and D को हम easily eliminate कर सकते हैं. B थोड़ा plausible लगता भी है. Exam hall में there's a pressure also, right? You can't invest a lot of time in one passage. So let's go with the option A and then उसके बाद हम choose कर सकते हैं. The farmers who modernize their methods and diversify their fields will be in an advantageous position in future. Okay? Now इसमें आपके tricks क्या क्या है? Let's see हमारे passage में कुछ hints दी हुई हैं क्या इसके बारे में? Right, यहाँ लिखा हुआ है देखिए. In some cases, pushing farmers to plant new crops. Okay. Some farmlands may benefit from warming, but others won't. Okay. Then it's talking about we actually benefit some plants, right? And then the most important line is this one: some cases pushing farmers to plant new crops. अगर इन दोनों ऑप्शंस में से चूज करना है एग्जाम हॉल में तो यू शुड गो फॉर द ऑप्शन ए, बिकॉज ऑप्शन बी जो है क्लाइमेट चेंज ये पार्शियल ट्रुथ है. रिमेंबर हमने पहले सेशन में देखा था पार्शियल ट्रुथ, बिकॉज इसमें सिर्फ एक ही बात हो रही है, एडवर्सली इफेक्ट कर देगा क्रॉप डाइवर्सिटी को. बट सी वी टॉकिंग अबाउट न्यू क्रॉप्स एज वेल, राइट? तो लेट्स से किसी एक एरिया में जहाँ पर लेट्स से सिर्फ अभी राइस का कल्टिवेशन हो रहा है, क्लाइमेटिक चेंजेस की वजह से कुछ न्यू क्रॉप्स और ऐड हो गए, देन वी कैन सी ना कि क्रॉप डाइवर्सिटी वहां पर इंक्रीज हो रही है, राइट? So on the basis of that, the UPSC has given the option as A. The answer is A. Got an idea? ये थोड़ा tricky passage था, right? अगर ये नहीं समझ में आ रहा तो just skip this passage in the examination hall, right? Now let's try this again. This is also a very tricky passage. Question number 7. A bat's wings may look like sheets of skin. Please try this.
Ma'am, can we see all options?
Yeah, sure. Okay, we have got the answers. Okay. B seems to be an option, yes. A. Okay, shall I start? Okay, yes, a lot of people are going for D. I'll not disclose the option because it might ruin the game for people who are still solving. Okay, let's go to the options. Okay. Fine. Azhar has also made a valid observation. Yes, let's start. Now, a bat's wings may look like sheets of skin, but underneath, so it's basically saying that a bat's wings, it may look like skin, but underneath that skin, it has all those 5 same, that is important, 5 fingers, like an orangutan or a human. Then a wrist, this is not important. Now, ये confuse करने के लिए दिया गया है ये सारी चीजें. Wrist connect to the same cluster of wrist bones, etc., same long bones. No. What is important is this, कि it is showing a similarity with the same similarity with the orangutan and a human, right? Now, what can be more curious than that the hand of a man formed for grasping things, that of a mole for digging, the leg of the horse, the paddle of the porpoise, and the wing of the bat should all be constructed on the same pattern. Again, ये details important नहीं है. Basically, author की curiosity जो है, he is trying to see that different animals have got different kinds of organs, and how you can see a similarity. It should all be constructed on the same pattern, right? Let's go with the options. Okay. So that goes for B. Let's see it. क्या आंसर क्या है? Okay, let's go statement by statement. Statement A. different species having similar structure of hands is an example of biodiversity. Can anyone tell me what is wrong with this option?
It should be different structure of hands, not the similar.
Yes, similar structure is different structure. So we can eliminate this. Now, second option. Who all think to be right? I need their view now. Limbs being used by different species for different kinds of work is an example of biodiversity. The other key point is also that कि कहीं भी यहाँ पर biodiversity के बारे में कुछ mention है. The author is more concerned about the evolution thing. Okay, कि कैसे different animals के different organs, how they have constructed on the same pattern, construction, a phase in time, evolution, right? ये मैं evolution keyword इसलिए भी use कर रही हूँ because बाकी के दो options में evolution की बात होती है, right? So there's no mention of something like this that, and he's not trying to relate that limbs being used by different species to an example of biodiversity. No, B is not the answer. Okay, now we have got two options, C or D. Now these are very close options. This is kind of 50-50% question. Man and the aforementioned animals having similar structure of limbs is an example of coincidence in evolution. Okay. Now, some people have related this idea with the aspect that the author has shown curiosity, right? Now, let's read the last option. None of the aforementioned animals, they have a shared evolutionary history. Okay. Anybody would like to share any opinion on this? कि let's say अगर मैं सिर्फ ये option दे रही हूँ कि C और D में से कुछ choose करना है, दोनों ही correct लग रहे हैं यहाँ पर.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, first thing is that the tone of the passage.
Hmm.
Writer is quite amazed regarding the things he mentioned. And ma'am, second thing is that first thing, surety. Surety is also a part. In the option, man and evolutionary history in a sure manner he mentioned. So ma'am, it's a different thing. I am from a biology background, so I know that man doesn't share evolutionary history with these animals.
Okay.
So it's easier for me to understand this passage.
Right. So the option is either C or D, right? Okay. So considering the tone of the passage, the answer seems to be like the coincidence in evolution. They have a shared evolutionary history, right? Although UPSC here has given the option as D, right? But I will not tell ki D is the answer because this is actually a confusing thing, right? If you go for the tone of the passage, it says that it goes with the coincidence in evolution, right? So if in the examination hall you are able to narrow it down to C or D, right? They have given this option as either C or D. Okay. They have a shared evolutionary history. Again, here also the author has said that should all be constructed. He's actually questioning it, as Shivani said. He's not saying that with surety, rather he's questioning it. Okay. So the answer can be either C or D here, but according to UPSC, the answer is D.
Ma'am, actually D might be the right answer because if we are talking about C answer, there is this coincidence. And if we are talking about evolution, there is no coincidence in the first place. Whatever happens is always due to the surroundings and environment that takes a huge like involvement in the evolution. It's not the coincidence. And if we see the evolution, man and the aforementioned animals, if we go back to the time, we have some sort of similarities in the evolutionary pattern. So I think D might be the best chosen answer.
Okay, yes, you can go for this. Yeah, I agree with your point as well, as you said that key evolution is not something coincident, right? And you use the word pattern, I guess, the same pattern, right? It followed the pattern. So pattern also relates to history. Okay, so if you are able to narrow it down to C or D in the examination hall, then based on your judgment, we'll be taking it. See, I'm giving you a real-time scenario for this. I'm not justifying answer as the D. Okay, in the examination hall, ऐसे scenarios होंगे. So as Tazim, right? Yeah, Tazim, as he said, he has got an like opinion for that. Ki why it's not an example of coincidence, rather a shared evolutionary history. And the keyword here is constructed on the same pattern. Okay. Fine. Shall we move forward? Okay, so I have another question for you. Again, this is also a tricky passage. 2019 paper ke questions was very tricky for the inference style. Please read this passage. Passage number 2, question number 43. I'll scroll it down if you want the options.
Yes, ma'am, I think so.
Okay. Here again, I think 50-50 में आप stuck हो सकते हैं. दो options तो यहाँ easily eliminate किए जा सकते हैं. Okay, I've got the answers as C, A, okay. Okay, check A. Now here another aspect is इस passage को solve करने के लिए inference जो हमें अब तक देखा है. Okay, let's solve the question. We have got a lot of answers now. Yes, so we have a tie between A, C, right? Okay, so एक होता है tone of the passage, right? Tone and plus जो author है उसका passage में main focus किस चीज पे है, right? Is he trying to make a suggestion or is he trying to explain something? Okay, or is he trying to suggest like give a caution about something? Or maybe he's just trying to clear a confusion or an opinion around something. Okay. Now in this passage options choose करते वक्त आपको ये देखना पड़ेगा. Which one of the following is the most logical and rational inference? Now let's read the passage quickly. What it is saying that basically it's saying that invasive species के बारे में generally जो हम सोचते हैं वो जरूरी नहीं है कि true हो, right? They're neither terribly successful or harmful, right? Then they have given an example of Britons, right? जहाँ पर ये contradictory proof हुआ है. and then they are
मैम
given reasons.
रिहेबिलिट का इसमें मेंशन नहीं है ना पैसेज में.
Yes, it is not mentioned to rehabilitate desert areas and wastelands of a country. Yeah. Okay. So the arrival of new species, etc., it almost always increases the biological diversity. In many cases, a flood of newcomers drives no native species to extinction, and they have given the reason because वो disturbed habitats को invade करते हैं, right? Where little else lives, जहाँ कोई और species है ही नहीं, so they are nature's opportunist actually, right? Now, अब ऑप्शन ए और ऑप्शन डी आप देखिए, ठीक है. इन्वेजिव स्पीसीज, फॉरेन प्लांट्स, डन. शुड बी to rehabilitate desert areas and wastelands of a country, to increase the biodiversity of a country. क्या सिमिलर लग रहे हैं ऑप्शन? बस एक ही फर्क है कि पहले वाले में थोड़ा स्पेसिफिक डिटेल पे बात हो रही है, यहाँ बात हो रही है कि biodiversity of a country. Here they are saying that to rehabilitate desert areas and wastelands of a country. Okay, now this is a trick. राइट, ये चीज आप क्वालिफाई कर सकते हैं, पैसेज में इस चीज की बात हो रही है, बिकॉज यहाँ पर लिखा है ऑलमोस्ट ऑलवेज इंक्रीजेस द बायोलॉजिकल डाइवर्सिटी इन अ रीजन, बट टू ऑप्शंस कैन नॉट बी करेक्ट एट द सेम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. ओके, फर्स्ट रीजन. द सेकेंड रीजन इज शुड बी यूज्ड टू इंक्रीज. नाउ अगेन टोन ऑफ द पैसेज. क्या पैसेज में इज द ऑथर सजेस्टिंग समथिंग दैट इन्वेजिव स्पीशीज का हमें यूज करना चाहिए बायोडाइवर्सिटी को मैनेज करने के लिए, इंक्रीज करने के लिए? इज ही एनी वे टॉकिंग अबाउट इट? और कैन एनीवन टेल मी कि ऑथर किस टोन में बात कर रहे हैं? व्हाट कुड बी, यहाँ से आपका नेक्स्ट जो कीवर्ड है ना, एजम्पशन, इसकी शुरुआत यहीं से होती है. व्हाट हैज बीन इन द ऑथर्स माइंड? ऑथर्स कुछ अज्यूम करके ये बातें कर रहे हैं. वी ऑलवेज अज्यूम समथिंग एंड देन उसके बाद हम एक डिस्कशन करते हैं. तो ऑथर इज अज्यूमिंग समथिंग ओवर हियर. कैन एनीवन टेल मी कि क्या सोच सकते हैं ऑथर यहाँ पर?
I think जो author है, he's on the positive side of the invasive species. He's not directly saying these invasive species are harmful for the current biodiversity there, but in contrary to that, he's saying the invasive species, they are just increasing the biodiversity, and there's nothing wrong in it.
Okay, agreed. Yeah, I agree. Now, assumption, see, whatever you said, Tasim, it's totally correct, right? But I have one question over here. It's for everyone, right? इस पूरे थॉट को देने के पहले ऑथर ने एक assumption रखा है, as Tasim said, because he thinks that invasive species जो हैं, they're not always harmful, they could have some benefits, right? Now, let's go to the option C. Okay, please read the option C. Yes, Yashasvi has made a very valid point that the author, I'll read it out, the author is trying to change the views of the people through some factual information. Aptly pointed out. Yashasvi and everyone, please read the option C. Sometimes the campaigns against foreign plants are pointless. Something similar, I think Yashasvi is talking about. Right? Sometimes the campaigns, he must be having an idea about those campaigns. Now, अगर आपसे क्वेश्चन में पूछता, ये कहीं ना कहीं उनका एक थॉट चल रहा है पीछे. That is why he's clearing that most invasive species are neither terribly successful as generally conceived. Fine. Now, अब इसको सॉल्व कैसे करना है? ये तो पूरा डिस्कशन हो गया. एग्जाम हॉल में अब इसको टिक कैसे करना होगा? Let's do that in 30 seconds now. Seems to be a TV debate, okay? Yes, I agree with you, Azhar. That's also a valid point. Now, अब इसको टिक करना है फाइनली, राइट? वहां जाके हमें आंसर टिक करना होता है. Okay, just give me just one moment. Till then, please tell me कि ऑप्शन बी क्यों गलत है? laws against the introduction of foreign plants are unnecessary. So are we talking about foreign plants? तो ठीक है, but क्या laws के बारे में कुछ बात हो रही है यहाँ पर? Nothing about the laws given in the passage, very rightly pointed out. So ये ऑप्शन आपने एलिमिनेट कर दिया, ठीक है? अब एग्जाम हॉल में आपके पास 3 ऑप्शंस बच रहे हैं, right? Now see the option number A and the option number D. They are almost similar options, right? And ये इतना information मेरे पास passage में नहीं है, मैं inference conclusion करती हूँ, but passage की information के basis पे ही, okay? And tone is another part of your inference जो आपको समझ में आ रहा है, यहाँ से शुरू हो रहा है, right? So it should be used to rehabilitate. Author ने ऐसा कोई भी suggestion नहीं दिया हुआ है, right? Rather, he is trying to clear out some confusions, clear out some ideas. So sometimes the campaigns against the foreign plants are pointless. Pointless क्यों? क्योंकि वो beneficial भी हो सकते हैं, and most importantly वो इतने harmful ही नहीं है कि उनके against वो campaigns की जाए, right? So यहाँ पर आपको elimination करना पड़ेगा A और D because this is not the tone of the passage, not the tone of the author, and also this idea about कि should invasive species पे confusion clear करना is one thing, but क्या invasive species एक solution हो सकते हैं biodiversity के लिए? Biodiversity increase करने के लिए ये information passage में नहीं है. उन्होंने इस जोन में रखा ही नहीं अपना कदम, उन्होंने इस बारे में बात ही नहीं की कि हमें बायोडाइवर्सिटी को मैनेज करने के लिए इन्वेजिव स्पीशीज को यूज करना चाहिए या नहीं, राइट? सो बी वेरी केयरफुल. ये क्वेश्चन बहुत टफ था अपने ऑप्शंस की वजह से, एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस जो आजकल आते हैं पेपर में वो इसी कैटेगरी में होते हैं, वेरी ट्रिकी वंस, जिसमें ऑप्शंस बहुत ट्रिकी होते हैं, राइट? सो दिस इज अनदर ट्रिक आप ये देख सकते हैं जहाँ सिमिलर ऑप्शंस एक साथ 2 आंसर नहीं हो सकते इस क्वेश्चन के, तो ये भी आप एक अप्रोच यूज कर सकते हैं फॉर एलिमिनेटिंग द ऑप्शंस, राइट? एंड द टोन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इसके लिए अलग से एक लास्ट में सेशन होगा टोन और एजम्पशंस पे, उसमें मैं आपको डिटेल में बताऊंगी ये चीज, राइट? सो नाउ वी आर लेफ्ट विथ 2 or 3 questions. So what I would want you to do is take these questions as your assignment. Question number 47, 61 and question number 63. I would like you all to solve these 3 questions and then you can come up with any doubt if you have in these 3 questions. हम next session में discuss करेंगे, right? And next session का जो हमारा agenda होगा, that will be we'll be taking up the keywords, that is the crucial message and the crux, right? आपने देखा होगा ना, what is the most crucial message delivered by the passage or what has been the main crux of the passage. आजकल जो questions RC में आ रहे हैं mostly 2-3 keywords based होते हैं. The maximum are from assumptions, right, which is also very tricky. Second is the inference, and third is this main crux or the crucial message, right? So we'll focus on these 3 in the next few sessions. Inference is done today. You will practice this now, and in the next session, हम crux and crucial message करेंगे, and उसके बाद we'll do the tone and assumptions, right? So if you have any doubts or any issues related to this session, या कुछ और आपको feedback देना है, maybe you want something else to be added over here, so you can give your feedback, right, on the Telegram channel as well as on the YouTube link. Okay, so we'll wrap up for this session. Okay, thank you everyone. I hope to see you, like Friday we'll be having the next session on the topic of main message and the crux. Okay, thank you. You can, so, thank you everyone.